last stream, we started to have a little bit of level of detail bullshit. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, I think, is build the same thing. Ish. Some face mesh less to draw, maybe. It's gonna be complicated here. It's gonna be a stupid turd complicated bullshit, man. This is not that much, not that much. We just gotta change this. Maybe I'd change the entirety of this. Like build a different script or something, maybe. Or not, or not. But I can't go, yeah. So we're gonna have like a level of detail of 1. Yeah. So level of detail of, I can do 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, probably. Just gonna have different measurements and shit. But I'm really starting to not really have a like a programming goal today. Actually, I want to do something else. I really want to do something else. Maybe even start programming again. Avoid expense. There's plenty of things that I want to try and avoid expense. Just, you know, personally, I just felt like the last time that I coded really strong and hard, that the kind of help that I was receiving from the developer was not the kind of help that I was requiring, maybe. And it had been a long time like that, and I felt annoyed by it. Okay? For instance, there are things that I've thought about that would be great in avoid expense. Okay, so let's say ideas void expense. Okay, so the first thing that I wanted to do, although it was a cool idea, is build. It was a cool idea, but there's problems with this. So I wanted to build a astronaut ship, where the astronaut is the ship of the player. There's no possibilities to change the astronaut to a different ship, but only to change it to a stronger suit astronaut-ish. Okay? The astronaut would be in a NASA space chair. Okay? Let me just show you here. NASA space chair. Astronaut. This here. Or he's kind of in a space chair. Okay? It's just maneuvering unit. It's NASA maneuvering unit. Okay? Maneuvering unit. Okay? The way to get a ship would be for the player to go inside of a ship stationed outside of the station and use the onboard manned maneuvering unit onboard computer computer on the main manned maneuvering unit to dock to the ship. To dock to the ship in the forms of having the ship use the Farseer physics engine to stick to the astronaut in chair. So for that, there would be the need of a door, physics door, or to the ship. Okay, I can do this. I can do the physics door. The problem with the entirety of this is that the studio doesn't help. Okay, Studio Atomic Torch doesn't help. Didn't help much. Can change much as they were concentrated on Cryofall. Cryofall has been out for a while. I wonder if they're still working 24/7 on doing things, because I don't see them work that hard, really, personally, in the updates that they're pulling out. Next, and I would need to have physics, like physics merging. You know, physics parts merging so that they move as one around the player, around the astronaut, and even have the astronaut physics merge with the ship. Okay. Otherwise, all parts of the ship would be individual physics, where I need to use velocity, force, add force, add velocity every frames in order for the ship to stick together around the player. It's going to be costly. It's going to be costly in terms of performance. Okay, it is going to be costly. But I can build a prototype. I could build a prototype. 3, there's not enough parts / objects inside of the game that can be instanced except the crates. As far as I know, only the crates can be instanced. Well, it's a good thing, but not that good, because I already spawned a lot of instances, all instances being physics enabled, crates being physics enabled, and the result wasn't outstanding. I think even 1,000 crates was lagging. It's to be expected on the old physics engine, Farseer. less than 1,000 degrees was lagging. Okay, and instance, at least more instanced objects would alleviate the performance, the GPU, the CPU, GPU bottleneck. I would call it bottleneck when spawning lots of parts. Okay, but imagine now. But imagine that would mean that an astronaut could get any types of ships in the game in missions where there are destroyed ships, and repairing the parts and assigning the parts to its own ship. Okay, with or without merging physics. Colliders. Okay, without merging colliders, it would only mean that the farseer physics would work more. But there's that. Okay, but there's also another thing. Okay, but maybe I can have let's say let's just do the, like, engine thrusters, separate parts for the engine thrusters, the satellite, whatever, the radar, the guns, and the cockpit. And is there anything else? And out of these separate parts, I could build merge meshes outside of Void Expanse in Blender to build parts, to build merged parts. Okay, like engine, thrusters, cockpit, engine, radar, thrusters, cockpit. And every time that the player adds a new part to its ship, I would replace the earlier ship model with the newer ship model, where physics are merged, where physics colliders are merged. This is possible too. So there would only be always one part of the ship that uses physics add velocity, add force, in order to stick to the astronaut. Okay? I think I can do it that way. Yes. The problem is destroying the parts. Okay? Problem is the ship, when merging physics, is, it's the ship when merging physics colliders is not going to have is going to have the same principle as for when a part is destroyed, where I am replacing again the one part of the ship with a different model, where, let's say, the thrusters are not part of the entire model. It's going to be annoying. You see parts appearing, parts disappearing, you know, with an explosion or not, you know, that I can do. I think it's just going to be a little bit annoying, okay? Because those are things that are not inside of void expanse in the code. You know, well, in the I would say in the they're not inside of the they're not inside of the thing. Okay, they're not hard coded. There's nothing hard coded in here. Nothing. Okay, well, except, you know, replacing meshes. I can do this, but I don't like it. That's the thing. I just don't like it. If I go, you know, there's no merging. You can't merge inside of the engine without replacing things. You have to replace things in order to merge. You know, and when replacing things, it could be like what I've been doing with my, well, not really like I've been doing with my decorations. You know, I've been building my last example of void expanse, you know, where my last example, you know, where let's go in the YouTube channel, no, YouTube Studio. Fucking piece of trash here. I'm seeing those things here. They're pissing me off. One view. Nobody's really that interested. Fuck you. Okay, so let me go and check void expanse. Where's my void expanse things? Didn't I build these? Let's go in dashboard. There's nothing here. View 0. Yay. Very happy here. Super hot. Let's go in my channel. And I've uploaded some videos. I don't know why they're not there. About void expanse. So, yeah, void expanse right here. So here. Voice not here. Okay. So you're gonna see pretty cool, you know, like roof appearing and disappearing. It's pretty cool. It's really cool. You know, built with no, don't mind the goddamn error there. Okay, you see the roof of the station disappearing since I'm inside of the station. But that roof is a decoration. I'm adding a decoration, I'm removing the decoration. That's the only thing that I'm doing. Okay? When I'm getting near the doors, the roof is appearing. Boom. Okay? Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Boom. Disappearing. And appearing. At some point. Yeah, there you go. Okay? I think it's pretty awesome. It's really awesome. But the thing is that, you know, it's a decoration. It cannot move. Well, I think I can move it. I think I can move it. But, everything is shit inside of there. It's crazy. But look, that prop, for instance, that container is a ship. I could rotate the ship and do a lot of things. You know, when the ship is rotating, I could rotate the ship, increase the speed, and etc. And it could stick to to the main ship that would be an astronaut. You know, I could do that. So the parts would have HP. You know, could destroy the parts, but they're all gonna have to be physics parts that are separate individual entities inside of the physics engine. You know, they're not gonna be merged. You know, so I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it. You know, but it might be the only way. But the thing is that, you know, you see the HP bar there. The HP bar, I can't even reduce the size of it. I can't increase the size of it. I can't. There's nothing modifiable in the UI of that texture there for the HP. There's nothing that I can do to change it. So I've been told it was hard-coded, that they had no real intent of changing that. Personally, this example that I had coded was I think my best thing yet. Although it was just a simple example, for the reason also that I don't think I spawned my I didn't spawn my my Jones in there, did I? I thought I had done it. I didn't spawn my Jones in there, but my Jones were, I was able to do to spawn my Jones, and they had pathfind inside of the station. Okay, so pathfind in order to avoid the colliders set up for the balls and stuff like that. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. But you know, you looked at games like Cosmoteer, for instance. Okay, it's awesome. Cosmoteer is awesome. Problem with Void Expanse is that they're not giving any support. I'd have to build something so fucking awesome and bring in a lot of views and a lot of interest that maybe they would start helping again. Otherwise, you know, help is not free. They can't just leave their newest game like Cryofall and start working on their old game that they barely touch anymore. So, you know, I think there's a lot of things that they can do with Cryofall, and maybe I should get to it, you know, and leave my old stuff of Void Expanse there. But I think that the good thing to do would be to maybe build a last thing in Void Expanse, like a last cool thing, and after that to leave it, you know, leave it for good, and go in Cryofall. It's built in C#. There's plenty of things probably to do with it. But yeah, so that was my that was my idea, my last idea, I would say, or my latest ideas for a Void Expanse. It would be great. It would really be cool. But the problem is, you know, the rotation of the parts, applying the right force so that the part sticks to the ship without barely budging at all types of things, even collisions and shit. So it doesn't budge and can be destroyed, you know? So if it has to be destroyed, then it would have to be a ship that's near the player. It would have to be a ship part that has a big UI, you know, like big UI freaking texture on top of it for the HP and for the shield. It's not super hot, right? But yeah, so that was one thing that I wanted to do. Okay, so you have one astronaut. You know, it has a collider. It's a collider. It's an astronaut in a manned maneuvering unit. And to go inside of a ship, well, that would be quite easy because the colliders are 2D inside of Void Expanse. So you only need to build parameter colliders, you know, to get inside of a box or something with one door. And the door could also be a physics door. But that's the problem. It's such a problem because you don't have the ability to stick things to 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 another object unless you're using add force. You cannot build a what is it, a hinge. There's no joints. It doesn't exist. It's not even hard coded, you know. And they have the physics engine though, so it would be great if you could do a hinge. Physics and Farseer physics engine. I'm pretty sure that there's hinges inside of there, but that would be great for the door, for instance. Okay. So the only thing that I had, the other things that I had developed for that was, well, you know, tried to build a planet Earth. Let's say I had issues with the texture there, and I replaced the, you know, the planets. Basically, I think I'm not sure if there was a planet in the middle of this big decoration, planet Earth. And also, when you were near, you could jump to Earth. You could go inside of the planet, basically, on the top of it. And when you would go on top of it, you would be in a different level. Okay, you would be in the level planet Earth, you know, the system planet Earth, whatever. And inside of that, I had built a floor, you know, so that you could see the floor. It was all decorations in here, and it was supposed to be tileable floor. You know, that I had built the texture inside of GIMP, but it was really failing. You could see the you know, the differences between each chunk. And here, when you were opening the map, you couldn't see that there was a, you know, a floor to it. Okay. So you could go though on different. You could go back to the outside, you know, planet Earth or in space, let's say. That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool up to there. So, and when you're nearing the jump gate right here, you would go, bam, outside of planet Earth again. Okay. It was pretty great. Pretty great. And near the station, you could see the station outside. The outside station, which was the original detailed station, could go inside of the station where the roof was removing. I had issues with the decoration being removed there a little bit. Now you were inside of the station, so it was pretty cool. It was a good experiment there. Okay, good, very cool looking, with the roof disappearing, and could still duck. Okay, could still duck inside of the station. So it was really cool. It was really freaking cool. Only 32 views though for that video. It wasn't done yet either. And yeah, so you know, that would be my next experiment, I guess, with void expanse. That's the problem, is that it's great that there's an engine there, there's a game where it can mod things. The problem is that there's insane amount of limits. Okay, you just have access to JavaScript and the functions that they're giving you already, or the functions that they can develop for you, but you know, they're never really had a lot of time to develop anything for me. Not that much. Just one day in those years. One day that he took the time to build new functions, new API functions. Okay? And a lot of what I was requesting couldn't be done. But it's exactly the number. And one time, I say one day, it was a couple of hours in that day. Okay? It took him like maybe 8 to 12 hours. And he you know, those, and you can see how fast still he could develop things, right? 8 to 12 hours and providing like 10 API functions, 10 new API functions. It was great, man. It's not a lot of work for those, the amount of API functions that you could provide. But, you know, um, there's still so much more that they could do with void expense. So much more. I think that they're just cockblocking themselves when they're not helping developers. Because, you know, they've got 2 games now. There's a lot of people that would code still in void expense, providing that new API functions are accessible. Hinges joints, merging physics. You know, that would be great because that game could be better than Cosmeteer. But Cosmeteer is a freaking new game. It's got beautiful physics. You know, I'm pretty sure it's not using Farseer physics. So, yeah, I mean, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work just to build those things. It's a lot of work because I don't have any help. You know, I don't, I'm gonna write 2022, 2023, okay? I don't have help. I have to build my models inside of Blender myself. I have to build, you know, to migrate everything inside of Void Expanse, check if it works or if it doesn't work, to do modifications after that, and you know, and I wasn't even done with my earliest versions of, you know, if I at least could do one playable version. But that's the thing, it is that it never was that hot. Never was that hot. It was great, but never that hot, especially when you compare it to games like Cosmeteer. If you compare it to games like Cosmeteer, then my stuff, I give it the 1 on 10. You know, our lowest score is the shittiest. Because I still hadn't built the drones to mine, you know, the asteroids. So that's a good thing, though. If I could build that, that would be great, you know. That would be freaking awesome. So I'm just gonna go and make a backup of my stuff here. So we're gonna call this one, oops, yeah, 18, 2 eyes, top face. No, we're gonna call this calling chunks and instances. Okay, it's pretty great. So yeah, Cosmeteer is crazy. It's crazy good. It's well done. I just don't like one thing is that you can pause. You know, they should remove the pause there so that people are stuck with fighting live and losing more parts and shit like that. It's not hardcore because of the pause thing. You have the time to you know, to do whatever you want to do to save your ass. So, yeah, I mean, yeah. This is one thing that I've been thinking for a while. I mentioned that in my past streams a long time ago, months ago. The manner of ring unit. But this is a little bit more in depth of what, you know, I want to do there. You know? So I can still add force, you know, I'm gonna have to think about it. I can still add force to crates, for instance, I think. So if I can add force to crates, you know, at least they wouldn't have, big texture or stupid thing on top of it. Problem is that they don't have HP. Crates don't have HP. They can appear, disappear if they're empty and stuff. That's the only thing. They don't have HP. They have physics though in game, right? And there's a problem, you know. is that if I stick them to the ship, if I stick anything to the ship, the only part that is rotating would be the astronaut. If he's hidden inside of a, kind of a perimeter colliders kind of thing there. A perimeter collider, ship outside or ship hole, and that you don't see the astronaut when he's inside of the ship because he passes through a gap in the colliders to get inside where there is a roof, or there's the roof, and when he's inside, the ship sticks to him. It's I think the idea is great. The idea is freaking great still, but the problem with that is that the physics are going to work every frame. I could still try, I could still try. But, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know how many players, let's say, it could be inside of a game where it's going to start lagging like shit. There's not enough options in the UI stuff. There's not enough options. Still possible to do something cool here, but I'd need to have the probably I'd need to have the the HP set up in global variables, just like as how I've been doing it with salvaging, with the amounts of minerals inside of that asteroid, not asteroid, inside of that ship parts, where it can still be salvaged because I'm counting. I'm counting with the global variables. But the problem is that crashes the game. The first save game crashes because of whatever, easy stuff that I've been doing there. So I'd have to do a different kind of salvaging, and that would probably be salvaging with normal lasers that have with using fire, gun, fire, ship that fire, and with that, then I'd be able to decrement the amount of minerals inside of the salvageable part. So yeah, there's a lot of work. It's not just doing the generators. Doing the generators is already really long. It's not that hard. It's just freaking long to do. But it would be a different kind of game, right? You don't have that in custom tier. You don't have tons of different weapons, procedural weapons, basically. You don't have this shit. You can have it in Void Expanse if you code it. But this would be a major part, and there's also 1, 2, 3, 4 automatic lasers, automatic weapons, automatic how do you say targeting? Yeah, targeting weapons, where the weapons can be added to the ship. External parts, external physics parts, and that there is a gun attached to the part. That's the problem. That's one of the problems. A gun attached to the part. I don't remember any gun that can be attached to anything else other than a ship. And the gun is aiming at nearby enemies. player is near, and when the player fires its main guns with mouse 1 or 2, that the extra guns are firing also. So that could be great too. Automatic targeting weapons. Those guns, you know, those extra guns wouldn't be part of the mouse, of the items compartment that can be fitted in the garage, in the ship garage. Okay. They would have attached parts. The problem is that no parts can be no guns can be attached to anything other than a ship object. So they would have to be the same thing, physics parts that look like guns and are offset, and where the mesh is offsetted in Blender, so that the rotation point, pivot point, is at the back of the gun. Okay, and that would be one thing. And now for the rotation. The rotation, I don't remember though. We can't rotate objects. I don't think that we can rotate crates, for instance. I think that the only way to rotate anything is to put another object to it, like kind of attached to it by physics, and put a somewhat of a add force to the other object, and dependent on where it is placed, that it can rotate the other part it's attached to, just like a thruster. Okay. So that's, you know, that's one thing that I've been thinking about also. But, you know, and it wouldn't matter that the I think I want to try this, but I don't have an empty project, so I need to rebuild an empty project in Void Expense. Okay, those are my latest ideas. It's great. I think it's a good thing. It's a good thought. But you know, remember that I wanted to build hate maps, virtual desktop hate maps for playing Void Expense in moddable games, which I, you know, brought that to quite an advanced point with my older version of instancing voxels, but you know, that was without deferred rendering. But you know, that it's a lot of work when you think about it. It's such a freaking lot of work. Everything is a lot of work. There's an insane amount of work, and as you know, I've not earned a single cent out of programming ever since I started. So I cannot work 24/7. I cannot program 24/7. You know, I have a job now. I've had a job since the month of August, and it takes you know, it would take me like 25 years until I'm retreated, and when I would be retreated or something, 25, 30 years, then I would be able to go 24/7 if I wanted to with my hard-earned money. But in 25 years, there's going to be, you know, those are going to be called vintage games. Okay? Vintage games, like super old games. Really old games. There's going to be no point probably in developing those unless vintage games are making a comeback in popularity or something. You know? Whatever. So I'm going to be right back. So thanks for watching my Void Expense ideas. And you know, just talking about that makes me want to go and code a little bit and try things and avoid expense. Because yeah, it was a fun game to code. Fun game to code. I never reached my objectives, I would say, entirely. You know, my final objectives to have proper, you know, kind of a release there, a working release with textures and everything. And because of that, the entire project is, you know, I wouldn't say a failure. It's just demos then. It's just demos for others to look on and, you know, to get inspired by, and or even to continue my work. So unless I jump back into it, it's gonna stay like that. So yeah. So thanks for watching.